I continue to say Shirim here in the tunnels of Jerusalem to remember all of those hostages who were in the tunnels. I heard in Yeshivas Na'aroi in Petach Tikva, they set a table with 100, 150 places empty to remember these individuals. We shouldn't forget them. We should keep their memory, not their memory, we should keep their life alive in our heart and continue to daven for them. As Hashem has put us into this Nisoyin, so many brothers and sisters, so many brothers at least, our brethren are captive in Gaza. You're probably wondering how chocolate can bring you to a higher recognition of God. And I'd like to start this discussion, which is a hashkafic discussion, but quickly with the Devar Halacha. There's a big tumult about the bracha on chocolate. Most people will make shakol on chocolate. Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach wrote that really it should be Brei Pri Eitz, because it's the primary way that chocolate is eaten. There's a proof to this from the Shulchan Aruch, writes that when cinnamon is ground up and mixed with sugar, the bracha maintains the bracha of the cinnamon, which is not shakol. And we see that when something is ground up and changed, they could still have the same bracha. Shlomo Zalman Auerbach suggests that maybe if there are major transformations made to the chocolate, that would be a reason to make it shakol. It's cooked, has a lot of sugar in it. But pure chocolate, dark chocolate, really should be eitz. The minig is not like that. The minig is everyone makes shakol, but I heard there are individuals who are choshish for this. They worry that perhaps a real bracha is great. Now, but all this halachic discussion, all this pilpul, all this back and forth, what's the deeper meaning of it all? I like to suggest as follows. There was a terrorist attack last week on Thursday, and one of the injured is Shana Bracha Bas Rivka Yehudis. Shana Bracha Bas Yehudis was my neighbor in the Vayakos for 15 years. We lived there, and she has a brother named Yisrael Meir, ben Rivka Yehudis, a very Chashuv Talmid Chacham, today married, a number of children. And about 20 years ago, we buy their house for Shabbos, and I asked the following question: why in benching do we mention the land? We mention the food and the land in Eretz Yisrael and the base of English. Why don't we go straight to the food? Why don't we just primary focus on the food? So he said we have to get to the source. From going to the land, we realize the source of blessing for the land is the food comes from the land, and the land comes from Eretz Yisrael, and the source of blessing for Eretz Yisrael is the base of English. We always go back until we get back to Hashem. The point of every bracha is to realize that everything's from Hashem. And therefore, there has to be a little bit of a umel, there has to be a little bit of a thought process to realize and think, how do I trace this back to Hashem? That's why you find so much discussion in Hilchos Brachos, right? Is it eitz, is it jackal, is it adama, is it mizonos, is it hamotzi, hamotzi? Discussions to get to think, where does food really come from? Well, my son was young, he asked him, where does bread come from? He said, from the grocery store. And we shouldn't think like that. We should think the food comes from Hashem, even though there's a lot of steps in between. The man was clearly from Hashem. But it's direct. We also get man today. Gimanu. Some people call it money, but it's a lot more steps, and it takes a lot of thought process to trace it back to Hashem. And that's the reason why Hilchos Brachos is so complicated. The Gemara in Brachos Afternoon says, if you want to see if a person's really a Talmid Chacham, see how he makes brachos. That's really a clear indication if a person's really a Talmid Chacham or not. You think through these concepts to trace back, where is it really coming from? Is it coming from a tree? Is it coming from the ground? Is it coming from either? What's the real, true bracha? This is really the point of it. And the point really of eating is to connect to Hashem. It was from Zev Leff, Rebbe of Zev Leff. He said, why after Birkas Hamazon, after eating bread, do we mention all these concepts? It's Israel, the base of English. It's because once we have energy, we have to know how to use it. We have to know you have to give everything back to Hashem. I want to finish with a very, very important point. There's a concept called eating l'shem shamayim. That's a very, very high level. Not too many people are on that level today where they put a piece of food in their mouth. I think they have kavanas, they have yichudim. But I heard from Noach Olbaum, there were 3 individuals who knew the case. One of them was Daniel. One of them was Yaakov Avinu. Yeah. Hence, my friend Daniel Gladstein told me it's called Daniel Yaakov, because those were the 2 people who knew the case, Daniel and Yaakov. But it says from Noach Olbaum there was a 3rd person. It was Mordechai Minaishlis. Mordechai Minaishlis, he was a Hasidic Rebbe, and they said the great praise of Mordechai Minaishlis was that they couldn't tell the difference in his avoda between eating and davening. The same thing, eating and davening. He used to eat with such a kedusha, with such a meticulousness, that it was like his avoda of Shemona Esrei. And this is a very high level for us. We hear such a story, we don't know exactly what to do with it, but I want to tell you what you do with it. There's a Noam Elimelech, one of the most beautiful Noam Elimelechs I ever saw. He says, what does it mean to eat l'shem shemayim? This is very, very high level to eat l'shem shemayim. We're eating, we're very hungry, we want to eat quickly so we get back to our whatever we're going to do. But l'shem shemayim, says Noam Elimelech, is when you enjoy the food, that pleasure comes from Hashem. So you have a chocolate bar, you have a milky white chocolate bar, Swiss chocolate, it's delicious. Eat bachas, chocolate, you never thought about that, now you made a bacha. Right? Now you eat it. When you put that delicious chocolate into your mouth, think, who gave me this pleasure? This pleasure comes from Hashem. Attribute it back to the Borei Olam. This is called eating l'shem shemayim. This is how all of our eating can bring us closer and closer to Hashem, to a relationship, because it's a gift. That pleasure that we have when we eat a chocolate bar is a gift. We can either use it to fill our stomachs and for self gratification, or we could use it to make ourselves closer and closer to Hashem Yisbarach and get closer to Him, and have a closer and closer relationship with Him. So the next time you put a piece of chocolate in your mouth, right, and you're probably going to make shakbal, think it's not so simple to make that bracha, number one. And number two, think, who gave me this delicious hana, this delicious pleasure that's coming from Hashem? And this is called eating l'shem shemayim. Remember, Shoshana Bracha was Rivki Yehudis, who was shot in the stomach. So miraculously, no internal organs were damaged significantly, and Baruch Hashem, she's still alive. Please daven for her. And her brother Yisrael Meir, who explained that the point of brachas is to trace it back to Hashem. That's why in Berkos Hamazon, we start with the food, and we go to the land, and we go to Israel, we go to the Beis Hamikdash, and to back to Hashem. And remember all these things, and remember the point of our eating is to get closer and closer to Hashem. The point of everything we do is to get closer to Hashem. And that's what the Rambam writes. The point of brachas is that we shouldn't forget Hashem. When we're involved with our daily activities 100 times a day for men, women don't have this mitzvah of 100 brachas a day, but for men, 100 brachas a day, 100 times a day, to remember that Hashem gives us everything. And if you do this, your life will be elevated incredibly. You'll have so much more pleasure. You'll have so much more elevation in everything you do. Nothing will be mundane. Hashem should help us and get us to this very elevated level. We should all have joy, and we should have the true joy of coming of the Gula, man came through its son.